Hey everyone, in this video you'll learn everything you need to know about dragon racing, from the basics to crazy camera tricks, so that you can stop having nightmares about that tenth of a second you were missing. Let's start with some easy beginner tips that will help you get started. The first tip is dragon glyphs. You need to pick up every single one of the dragon glyphs that are scattered across the diagonals. This is very easy if you have the add-on Handy Notes Dragonflight, you can just see them on your map. And basically this will allow you to pick all the dragon racing talents and they will be very helpful. The second tip is to never ever use Whirling Surge. That's the ability that costs 3 vigor, and honestly the reason why you don't want to use this is because using your 3 vigor to get forward surge 3 times is much more profitable. It will give you a lot more momentum, it will give you a lot more freedom over where you're directing your Drake, and it's just so much better, so never use Whirling Surge. The third and final beginner tip is to use Skyward Ascent correctly. By this I mean that most of the time, if you're a beginner, Skyward Ascent isn't really going to be worth using over Forward Surge, except if you master a little trick that I'll talk about at the end of the video. But there are some occasions where Skyward Ascent can really save you. And that is, for example, when the next ring is really high above you. And in these situations, the Forward Surge might get you to that ring, but you'd be wasting a lot of momentum. And therefore, Skyward Ascent is really worth using in those occasions. Let's move on to some more advanced tips. When you master these tips, you'll definitely be able to get gold medals fairly easily. The first thing is you'll need to identify what type of race you're facing. Some races are mostly about just going as fast as you possibly can and not hitting obstacles. In these, usually you'll have tons of green orbs to help you gain tons of momentum and just go really fast. But there are also races where the key to winning is just to save your vigor and use it at the right time. And those races are usually the hardest because you need to figure out exactly when to spend your vigor, when to save it, and it can be really hard. The thing is, if you can identify which of these two the race is, then you can fairly quickly understand where you need to improve and what you need to do to succeed. The second tip is personally my favorite, and it is to identify whatever is stopping you. So basically the first step is do the dragon race a few times, and then ask yourself the question, okay, I've got a few obstacles that I keep running in and getting stuck in. Which one of these can I dodge with just good practice? And which one of these do I just get stuck in every single time and really can't get through? And usually you'll be able to practice and most obstacles won't be a problem, but there might be a few that still you get stuck in every single time. And the solution here is usually most races are forgiving enough that you can just go around them or above them or just dodge them by using extra vigor. But this will require some strategizing because you need to save up some vigor before so that you can still keep up with your momentum after. This is my favorite tip because it is really important to identify what is stopping you so that you can then improve. The third tip is very precise, but it's also quite important. And it is that you need to be very careful with the timing of your surge forward. That means that you don't want to be surging when you're turning, because then you'd be surging away from the next ring. The best timing to surge is really when you are in a straight line with the next ring, because the initial momentum gain from the surge is really high and you want that to be aimed directly at the next circle for maximum output. Now you don't need the next 2 tips to really get gold medals, but they are a little extra thing that will make it even easier. First off is the Skyward Ascent camera trick. So if you point your camera up, use Skyward Ascent and then point your camera back down where it was, you should be able to get a nice amount of momentum. This is even faster than using forward surge, but it is very easy to mess it up, so be careful when you're using it. And the last tip is to consider recording yourself, because it's much easier to see mistakes on a recording than when you're doing the race itself. Which is why by recording yourself you could learn where to improve, and it could really speed up the process of you getting that gold medal. And finally, don't forget that practice makes perfect, and it took me dozens of tries to get some of these races right. And it will probably take you multiple tries as well for some of them. But don't get frustrated, because you'll get it eventually. If you have any extra tips or questions, please share those in the comments. If you'd like to see the written version of this guide or even more World of Warcraft tips and tricks, use the link in the description and check out gaminghero.io, the best gaming website. Have a great day.